Hello everyone, I'm going to show you an edit from Bombay Beach when we did some light painting at Blue Hour. As you can see, this is really underexposed. This one was towards the end of the transition time when we had to make changes to settings, but it's not unsavable. So I wanted to choose this so you could see. So I haven't touched this yet, so I'm going to start by cropping. And I shot really, really wide. Why? Because if she was looking left or right, I might want to frame it differently. I like it because she's towards those colorful clouds. So this gives me a lot of options. We have so many pixels that we can do this. So I'm just going to frame it that way to give me a little bit of this cloud formation over here. And let's get started. So I'm going to start by just lifting my exposure. It's okay if the sparklers are a little bit blown out because we're just going to pull those down with that. Nice. The next big thing will be shadows. Keeping an eye on her face and her skin, making sure that light is getting picked up. Let's zoom in a little bit here. She's fairly sharp. A little bit of movement in her arms, but hey, it's okay. It's a great shoot. Clarity, I'm gonna punch just a little bit. You can see what that does, but watch. If I go too far with clarity, look at her skin. Gets a little wonky. We don't want that. So just enough to lift the shadows. You notice there's a lot of noise. We haven't dealt with that yet, but you definitely want to deal with that. We'll get there. And let's see color. Now, if you shot at 4000K, doesn't matter what you shot at, you can still play with it later, as long as it wasn't auto. So I'm gonna make it a little, maybe right there. And yeah, I like that. So I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna lift my exposure just a little bit more. I'll actually overexpose it a little bit so that I can pull my highlights again, and then I can bring my blacks just a little bit. Yeah, and then I'm gonna go to my color mixer. This is in the develop module if you're not familiar with it in Photoshop, in Lightroom. You really wanna get familiar. So if these aren't open, you just have to open them up. So let's go to the luminance. Let's try the orange. I wanna lift that orange a little bit so when I lift it, see it's just that color that gets lifted. Don't wanna do too much, just lift that a little bit. Let's see about lifting those purples. What happens there? It lifts the sky because there's a lot of purple there. And let's try some blue. Let's see what happens there. That's the blue. I might give that a little saturation. Let's try that. Let's see, a lot of purple. Yeah, I kind of like that. All right, now let's zoom in on her. And let's go down to noise. You can do the denoise, which most people's computers can't handle it. It shuts it down. So if you know how to do that, that's great. If not, go down to manual noise reduction and just raise that. Go halfway and see her face looks really great. Just make sure nothing's distorted. You can go too much, it looks a little plasticky. So I recommend about 50. We're gonna just keep it there for now. Zoom back out. We're gonna go back up to our color mixer and let's see. I might want to make that blue a little different. Yeah, just a couple numbers that way. All right, sounds great. I'm gonna go back and lift shadows just a little bit more. Now, here's the exciting part. I'm gonna show you how to use masks. Using masks in the develop module is pretty awesome because lifting shadows is great, but I only wanna lift them here. So I'm gonna go up to this circle here and I'm gonna click brush. It's gonna give me a new mask and I'm gonna paint this mask with my brush. Bracket keys up and down, make it bigger, smaller. And here you can change the flow, size, feather, density. And I'm just gonna make it nice and small and just cover that, all right? And then I'm going to go to my, I can increase exposure. I can do shadows. Not a whole lot of movement with shadows, but let's see if I can zoom in here. I'm going to do exposure. I'm going to go in a little bit more. Let's go 200. Exposure. She's still kind of noisy, and I'm going to fix that. All right. We'll fix that in the separate module, which we can't work in the mask with that. So we just click out of it by clicking this for everything. and we're just going to increase that noise reduction a little bit more. You can also export this when you're done and clean it up more using a separate program. But if you do use the noise reduction here, which is the more power hungry one, you'll get much better details. I'm just trying to make sure that people who aren't fanatical with Lightroom have a way to do it. So if you already know how to do it, you're great. And you can see our sparkler's still a little bit hot. I'm just gonna bring that down. Even if we did a lot, here we go, we can do that. Perfect. Now this foreground, I'm gonna show you another mask. I wanna lift this foreground. Go back to the masks. We already have one, so we're gonna create a new mask and we're gonna do linear gradient. Click on the bottom, drag up. Again, the feathering, you can change that however you want, but this is the standard setting. And watch what happens. I can lift that exposure. And I'm completely overdoing it, but let's say, see this feather? If I just want to lift that, I can just pull from there. I can also pull it down to make it smaller and make that gradient work that way. So I'm gonna then go back and just change a little bit. I like that, it matches a lot better. And I want this to be a little more gritty, so I will go down, back to clarity. I can gritty that up just a little bit, but because it lightens it, I'm gonna then make a lot more dehaze happen on there. And I might go back to my blacks and bring those down just a little bit. And I can always go back and adjust that where I want that. Or if I want to make it more expansive. But I'll cut that off about, well, I probably want that on those rocks right there as well. And let's see how that looks. Not too bad. This is a little bright in relation to that, so I can go to that mask again, click on that mask, and I'm just going to pull that down a little bit, but it gives it some nice texture. I like it. All right, so when we're done with that mask, click this. This is for all the things. All right, when you're in the mask and you click that mask, see how this is like a little bit of a different window if you don't know how to use these. That just applies to the mask. But once you get out of that window, see all this down here? That's global. Within the grade zone, that is local, which is the mask you're working on. All right, and this is our overall picture. Now again, you want to play with color. Just change your white balance. I mean, that can be a really cool look too, to have that warm sunset. I like the cool tones. If you don't, that's okay. All right, so you export this and you're ready to go. Now let's edit together a light painting done with the Milky Way. So here we're going to basically process the raw file 2 different times, export it and blend it together. But we might be able to do it all together with just masks. So I'm doing this for the first time on this image with you, so let's see where we get. First of all, let's just do an overall general color change. Add a little more blue because that's what I like to do. I'm going to try to bring these highlights down separately from this. So let's do a mask. I'm going to just do a radial gradient. I'm going to bring those highlights down. But I'm also going to bring the shadows up. That looks fairly good from here. It's a good place to start. And then we're going to go back to the overall image. And let's see if we can, I'm going to create a mask just for the Milky Way. Let's do that instead. Another radial, let's do a brush. Really nice soft brush. I'm going to increase it. I'm just going to brush where I see that Milky Way. And this is just a general edit. I don't want to overwhelm anybody with night sky photography editing. If you're already there, you've got it, but this is more about blending the two, so it's not going to be as crazy of a Milky Way edit as perhaps I normally would do. Okay, so we've got that selected. So let's go to exposure. Let's just lift that. Now, if we go too much, you can see that. But we want to lift, go a little bit over so we can bring it back down with black. See how it hides that? We're trying to bring out that core. And I know I'm pushing it right now. I'm just trying to really play and get a lot of detail out of it. Yeah, there we go. Oh, we might need to erase that mask, but we're doing okay so far. Really create some contrast here. All right, perfect. So let's say this edge we wanted to get rid of from the other mask. We're going to go back to that mask. We're going to click on it, and we're going to subtract using a brush. We now have a subtraction brush. I'm just going to paint right here. You may not even see it. It may be so minuscule, but to me, I can see it. So it's good for you to learn that if you don't know how to do that. All right, so if I want to go back to editing that Milky Way, I'm going to go back here, and I can do some overall adjustments to try to help that along. Let's see if clarity will help that a little bit. Yeah, it will. But see, clarity really pushes. You got to be careful with that. Dehaze, maybe a little dehaze. This is light pollution over here, and we will handle that with a mask as well, but don't get frustrated by it. It's there. We'll deal with it. And maybe a little bit more. Okay, back to our mask. We're going to click that mask button, go back to our Milky Way mask, click on that, and we're going to play with that some more. Let's go down to separate clarity. Let's see if that'll give us something. Yeah, see how it really lifts that? And it's going to create noise, and that's okay. Night sky images are noisy, and there's lots of things you can do post-production to help that. But right now we're just getting it to where it needs to be. Play with that a little bit again. All right. So again, the night sky is not too crazy right now. You can see the horse right here. And we still got some darkness here, but that's just when you shoot here, that's how it looks. So don't get frustrated by that. I just don't want you to have some super heavy editing to do. I just want you to get a nice, pretty picture, light painting with the Milky Way. But as you can see, we have lots of noise here. Again, I could use this denoise button, but a lot of you don't have probably the high-end computers to handle that. So we're going to, again, go to the manual noise reduction, and we're just going to go halfway and look at the difference that's made already. That's a zoomed in crop of the Milky Way. Now here it might look a little too plasticky for you, so let's pull that back a little bit. Again, some noise is okay. It's a night sky image. It's not the end of the world. All right. Now let's go back to our masks. And let's look at her and go back to, let's just maybe push exposure a little bit. Yeah, that's nice because we want to see her beautiful face. Very nice. Okay, and let's create another brush here. And I'm just going to brush these highlights in the sand. Doesn't have to be too fancy because we're going to deal with highlights, but that's our new mask. And in that mask, we're going to pull those highlights down. Didn't seem to do a whole lot, but it took a little bit of the edge off. Let's see if we pull white. See, we're just darkening that a little bit. I'd like her to be the focus, not what the sand caught. And what we can do as well, we can pull saturation down a little bit so it's not as noticeable. These are tiny, tiny things, but sometimes they can make all the difference. All right, let's go back to the overall settings and let's see, is there anything we could change? Let's see, could we create more contrast? We could with the sky, a little bit. Let's raise those whites. It's going to change everything, including that light pollution right here. Let's address that. I'm going to make another mask. I'm going to do a radial gradient. Click, drag, nice feathered overlay. And we're just going to, let's see if we bring down the exposure a little bit. Yeah, that's nice. Highlights down a little bit. And let's see if we can desaturate that a little bit so you don't see as much yellow. It's not great. I mean, there's a lot more that could be done, but certainly without it, it's a lot better. So there you have it, a nice general edit of light painting with the Milky Way. Something I'd like you to consider when you're working with an image like this is to close those edges up with a nice soft vignette. And you can do that under Effects in the Develop tool. Obviously, that's a little bit much. But play with that. It gives it kind of an artistic feel and really kind of makes everything come together. So happy editing, and I can't wait to see what you get.